Wow, what a perfect day to learn English. Isn't this a perfect day, guys? Welcome back to Mad English TV. Welcome to my office where I teach you English day in and day out. Look at this beautiful office. Man, I'm so fortunate. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you for all your support. You know, because of you, this is my office. Look at this beautiful office. Oh man, I am a happy camper. If you're a happy camper, it means you're just happy in life, you know. So guys, this is my office. This is where I come and teach English day in and day out. Do you know what that phrase means? Day in and day out? Well, that's a really good phrase to use for, you know, talking about your routine. Okay, so if you're talking about something you do every day or something you experience every day, you can use this phrase, right? So day in and day out. Today I'm going to teach you how to use this, and we're going to look at some examples. Okay, so what do you do every day? Let me know, what is something you do day in and day out? Okay, it could be anything. It could be, you could say, I go to work. I go to work day in and day out. You know, that's my job, right? So when we use this phrase, we're talking about something that you do or that you experience over a long period of time. Okay, every day. It's not like, you know, let's say you're sick 3 days in a row. You wouldn't say, these days I'm sick day in and day out. Now, you know, because you've only been sick for 3 days, right? When you hear this phrase, day in and day out, think long term, okay? Think about someone who's worked at a job maybe for many years. And, you know, they would say, you know, when I get to work, you know, the first thing I do is I have my coffee. I always have my coffee, day in and day out. First thing, I have my coffee, right? Or you know, they could say, on my way to work, I swing by the coffee shop and I grab a coffee, day in and day out, right? That means every day, your routine, that's your routine. You wake up, you know, on your way to work, you swing by, right? That means you stop and you might probably go through the drive-through, right? Or you could stop and go inside. Both would be fine. So if you could say, I swing by, that means you stop at the coffee shop and you get a coffee on your way to work. Okay? So I said, you know, every day I teach you guys English, day in and day out, right? So, like I said, we can use this to talk about routine, and that's what I just said. You know, my routine is to teach you English. Maybe your routine is, you know, maybe you drink coffee in the morning, day in and day out. Maybe you go to work day in and day out. Maybe you, whatever, anything about your routine. But this can also be something that you experience, okay, like pain or any other kind of like emotion, you know, or some kind of like something that frustrates you. I'll give you an example. So I lived in China for over a year. I lived in Shanghai for a year, and then I lived in South China near Guangzhou for a few months, and it was great. It was kind of a mixed bag. It's kind of a mixed bag. Do you know what that means? A mixed bag. That means we're talking about some experiences that were good and bad. So if I'm thinking about China, I had some good experiences in China. Some things about China I really loved, and some things I really, how can I put it? It wasn't my cup of tea, right? To put it mildly. If you put something mildly, it means you don't give it the full, you know, like I could say there's some things about China that I just hate, but that seems kind of like strong language. I know, I love Chinese people, and so I want to kind of I want to put it mildly. Okay, if you put something mildly, it means you don't give it full strength, right? So I was trying to choose my words carefully to put it mildly. So that's why I said, there were some things that I loved, and some things they weren't my cup of tea, right? But what I really mean is hate. But I was trying to put it mildly, all right? Now, if you put something bluntly, you just say it, and you don't care about the person's feelings. You just say what you're thinking, right? Like if someone said, "You're fat. You're fat, buddy. Lose some weight," right? That person would be putting it bluntly, right? They're not putting it mildly. If they were to put it mildly, they would say something like this. You might want to consider shedding a few pounds. You might want to consider shedding. Shedding means losing weight. You might want to consider shedding a few pounds. That would be kind of putting it more mildly. But if you just put it bluntly, you're fat, right? So, it's not good to. I mean, sometimes you have to say things bluntly, but it's usually good to put things mildly. So let me know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer putting things mildly or putting things bluntly? To put it means to say it. Okay, so I could say, to put it bluntly, you're fat. Okay, to put it bluntly. Now, it could be anything. It could be weight. It could be, something about, maybe you don't like a country. Maybe you don't like Canada. You could say, to put it bluntly, Canadian culture sucks. You could say something about the food. To put it bluntly, Mark, your cooking sucks. You could tell me that, Mark. To put it bluntly, I hate Canada, or Canadian winters suck, right? So to put it, we usually start the sentence with that phrase. Okay, so it would be like, to put it bluntly, and then you say the criticism. You say your criticism. Now, it's not good to criticize people, right? So that's why usually it's not good to put things bluntly. It's usually good to put things mildly, right? So I lived in China for over a year, and I had a mixed bag of experiences. That mixed bag, right? If you have a mixed bag, right, like I said, good and bad, it's all in one bag. The bag is China, my time in China, right? So there were some good and some bad. So that's a mixed bag, right? So one of the things that I actually really hated there was just the constant construction, the hammering, the banging, the renovating, the jackhammering. That was the one thing I hated, the jackhammering. So a jackhammer is a tool, or it's like a piece of equipment that people use to gut their apartments. To gut means you take out everything in the apartment, like the floor, the kitchen, the bathroom. You need this tool, this piece of equipment that just hammers out everything, the floor and everything. So it's a very loud piece of equipment, and it was so frustrating for me. Like, so the first building I lived in, the first apartment, there was just constant jackhammering and other noises. There was a weird buzzing noise literally all night. There was like this low buzzing, like a humming that it just drove me nuts. I couldn't sleep. I don't know what it was in the building, but it was like this constant like humming noise, like I don't know what it was, but it would like shake the building a little bit, and I couldn't sleep. So I really suffered there, you know, some of those days. I couldn't sleep. I was sick. I couldn't do anything there, guys. So that was one of the hard things. And then I moved to a different apartment, and the same thing there. Like, the people right above me were like were gutting their whole condo, and multiple apartments. Condo and apartment basically mean the same thing, okay? So multiple condos in this building were being renovated simultaneously. And it wasn't just my building. Like, if you'd walk down the street, you'd just hear this from almost every single building. Like, you hear jackhammering in every building, guys. And it just drove me nuts. If something drives you nuts, that means it's just like it's frustrating. It makes you go crazy, right? So you know, that was one of the things that I just hated about living in China. Just the constant construction, the constant noise. Like, there's nowhere you could go. Like, where I lived, you know, there was no place like this where I could just go and like escape a little bit from there was literally Shanghai is a huge city, right? Shanghai is just one of the biggest cities in the world. It's very populated. I didn't live near anywhere like this, you know, where I could just kind of get away, get some peace and quiet, you know. So if I ever go back to China, and like I said, I love Chinese people. Some of the people I met there were so nice and so friendly. You know, I would like to live in, maybe go to a small town or a village or something. That would be sweet. That would be really nice. The problem though with that is that most people, like normal people, they don't speak a word of English in China. Like, in the big cities, some people speak some English, but if you go out of the big cities, nobody speaks a word of English. Okay, if someone doesn't speak a word of a language, that means they don't speak any of it. All right, so I could say, I don't speak a word of Greek. I don't speak a word of Turkish. Do you speak a word of Turkish? I don't speak a word of it. That means I don't know any of it. I don't know even a single word. Okay. So yeah. So my experience in China was a mixed bag. But yeah. Now, why was I talking about China? Something about what was the point of this video? Can't even remember why I started making this video. What were we talking about? I'm gonna go off the path here, guys. Some people walking on the path. Guys, I'm racking my brain trying to figure out why I started making this video. Oh yeah, day in and day out. If you rack your brain, it means you're kind of like, you're trying to think of something hard. You're trying very hard to think of something. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what I was trying to teach you in this video. So day in and day out. So guys, let me know what you do day in and day out. You know, like I said, you could you know, so I could say day in and day out, there was just noise in the building. And everywhere I was in China, there was noise. There was jackhammering. Just day in and day out. Okay, so you can use this phrase at the beginning or at the end, or you can kind of say it as its own phrase, right? Like, you know, like I said, you know, day in and day out, there was noise in China. Or I could put it at the end, there was just noise in China, day in and day out. Or I could say it like this: you know, there was just so much noise in China. I mean, day in and day out. Right, so there you see, there was a pause, and then I just said it almost as its own sentence. Day in and day out, guys. Right? So like I could say here in Alberta, it's pretty windy. And that's one thing I don't like about Alberta. It's just so windy. I mean, today is not bad. Today you can see it's really not too bad. So like usually on days that aren't windy, that's when I like to come out here and make outdoor videos on days that aren't super windy. But man, if it's like really windy, you know, I don't like making videos. It's just the audio quality in my, you know, camera. It's not nice listening to videos that have like really that wind noise, right? It's not a good experience. So but anyway, I could say, you know, here in Alberta, it's windy day in and day out. Day in and day out. Now, like, you can use this phrase to exaggerate something too. Like, maybe not every day is windy here in Alberta, right? But I can exaggerate and say it is. I could say, yeah, here in Alberta, it's just so windy day in and day out. It's just, you know, very often we use this phrase when we're kind of frustrated about something. If something's, you know, like if your boss, it just, you know, irritates you all the time, you could say, my boss just, he just ticks me off day in and day out. So tick off. Tick off means to irritate you, to make you just annoyed. He annoys you, or she, if your boss is a woman, right? My boss just ticks me off. Day in and day out. Right? So, like I said, it's something in your routine or something you experience. So yeah, you could say, you know what? My son has been sick for 5 years, you know. He's just in bed day in and day out. He's in bed. He's bedridden. If you're bedridden, that means you can't get out of bed. That's your life. Your life is in bed. Okay, so, you know, day in and day out, my son is in bed. He's bedridden. You know, so yeah, it can, like I said, this phrase can be used for good things. It can be used for bad things. It can be used for things that are your routine, that, you know, maybe you go to work, you drink coffee, you go to the gym. You could say, I go to the gym day in and day out. You know, you could say, my boyfriend tells me I'm beautiful day in and day out. Right? So it can be good or it could be bad. So guys, this is what I do day in and day out. I come out here and I teach you some English. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Actually, I got a great comment today. Let me just pull out my phone and let me just check. Let's just grab my phone here. All right, so I'm going to read you this comment from Gigi. What is Gigi? Now, I'm not sure if Gigi is a male name or a female name. What do you think? If you are Gigi, let me know what's, you know, who are you? Where are you from? It's not a Canadian name, but this is what Gigi 1047 says. I love all your videos, but when you walk, it is the best for me. I'm really in love with that combination of seeing these beautiful places and getting so much new information. Thank you so much, Gigi, for that wonderful comment. So, you know, so Gigi likes it when I'm out, I do videos outside, you know, and I wanted to ask you guys, what's your favorite kind of video that I make? What style do you appreciate the most? Sometimes I sit in my car and I make videos. Sometimes I come out here. It's beautiful. I actually love these outdoor videos too. I think these are my favorite as well. So I'm the same as Gigi, but you know, I also have a lot of cooking videos on my channel. I've got studio videos. I've had different studios over the years. What do you prefer? Do you prefer if I'm teaching with like a TV and I can show you pictures and explain things at the TV, or my cooking videos, or my vocabulary walk series where I walk around, you know, and with my camera teaching you new vocabulary. So I don't know, let me know what's your favorite style of video here at Mad English TV, and I'll try to make more of those videos, whatever is your favorite. So oh guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's a beautiful day out here. Look at that bright sun, man. It's just awesome. I love this. This is gorgeous. Imagine living right there in that house. Man, that's a mansion. Look at that mansion, guys. A mansion is a big house. Look at, they've got a nice deck there. Wow. And it's, you know, facing west. That way is west, so they get a lot of the evening sun, the sunsets and everything. Oh, that would be sweet to live there. That house is probably at least $1 million, maybe like 1 to 2, probably over $1 million. I don't know, maybe like 1.5, 2. I don't even know, guys. I don't even keep track of real estate prices that are way out of my price range. What's out of your price range? If something is out of your price range, it means it's too expensive. You don't even think about it. You can't afford it. I could say these houses are out of my price range. So anyway, guys, but I still love coming out here day in and day out. So thank you guys for all your support. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today? Let me know down in the comments. So thank you, Gigi, for the wonderful comment. Thank you guys for joining me. And that's it from me here in Alberta, Canada. As always, I love you so much. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and happy wherever you are. And as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.